This is Excel Chapter 1, Part 4. In this section, we will be adding a clustered cylinder chart to the worksheet. At the beginning of the section, it said that our management team wanted to see our results in a chart. Even though we can see this, it doesn't show us a really good picture. The first thing you have to do when you are creating a chart is you have to decide on the type of chart that you need. Here is the chart we're going to be creating for Save the Sable River Foundation. But Excel offers 11 different chart types to choose from. The first type is a column or cylinder chart. This is the one we're going to be using, and it's a good way to compare values side by side. You can also create a line chart if you want to illustrate changes in data over time. A pie chart will show the contribution of each piece of data to the whole or total of the area. For this example, it was a cookie shop sales revenue, and you can see here that the yellow piece, which is the oatmeal raisin, sold about 30%, represented about 30% of their cookie sales. An area chart is used to illustrate changes over time, but it is also used to compare more than one set of data. For example, you have a blue set, a red set, and a green set, and they fill in over top of each other. An XY scatter chart is used like a line chart, but each piece of data is represented by a dot and is not connected with a line. A stock chart provides numbers and usually is used in the financial industry. This one is showing you something about the price of stock compared to dates. A surface chart will compare the data from 3 columns and/or rows in a 3-dimensional manner. A donut chart is like a pie chart, but it will allow for comparing more than one set of data, resulting in a chart that looks like a donut, with each set of data surrounding the previous set. In this example, you can see the representation. It's basically 3 different pie charts, but here shows 2006 numbers. This is 2007, and then we have 2009. A bubble chart is like an XY scatter chart, but a third set of data results will indicate how large each individual dot or bubble on the chart is. Here you can see that we're showing dates, and we are categorizing them by values, but you can also tell that the bubbles are different sizes. The next kind of chart is a radar chart, and this can compare several sets of data with each set represented by a different color. This is going to be the example of the Save the Sable River Foundation Lifetime Fundraising Summary chart. We are wanting to compare the fundraising activities within each city, and that can be made side by side using the clustered cylinder chart. This chart is going to use different colored cylinders to represent amounts raised for different fundraising activities. And each one of the cities will use the color scheme to identify fundraising activities to allow for easy identification and comparison. Here you can see that we will have the towns listed below, the sale or the amount of fundraising dollars collected up the side, and all of Allentown will be grouped together. So you can see easily that the blue, which if you look at the key, says that that was the corporate fundraising. You will be able to see Allentown raised the most money through their corporate efforts. But if you compare them overall, you will see that it looks like Chamber City was able to raise the most for almost every category. And that is easily seen on a chart, a lot easier than it is with just the data. So on your Excel spreadsheet, we will be inserting our chart now. The first thing we have to do is to tell the chart what numbers we want to include along with their titles. We are wanting to include the names of the cities and all their individual fundraising efforts. We are not going to include the totals either in the column total or in the row totals. Typically, whenever you do a chart, you will either use totals or you will use data. But if we put the total here for Allentown, it's actually going to make a column for that. And so it's going to look like total was actually one of the methods used for fundraising. So once you have selected your range, which in our case will be A3 through G8. We're ready to go to Insert. And over here is where we get to pick our types of charts. We're going to do a column chart, and then it asks which kind of column chart we're going to be doing. We are doing the cylinder chart, and we're going to do the first one, which is the clustered, meaning it's going to group all of everything under the same town together. So we click on that, and that's as simple as it is. We have our chart. We need to move our chart because it doesn't look very good on top of our numbers. So we're going to move it down here starting on row 11. This is called an embedded chart because it's actually on the same page of our worksheet as our data is. You could also have put the chart on its own page, but if it's on the same page, it's called embedded. Next, we're going to go ahead and drag over here with the middle sizing handle so that it goes through column H, so it's the same size as our data, and we're going to make it a little bit shorter with the bottom sizing handle and bring it up to the bottom of row 23. Now we want to do a little bit of formatting on our chart to make it look better. So once you're clicked on your chart, you have 3 new tabs. Under the chart tools, you have Design, Layout, and Format. We're going to go to the Design tab, and we're going to go to Chart Styles so that we can easily pick the style we want. The style we're looking for uses the 3 different colors, and we want the shaded background, so that's going to be style number 34. Once we click on it, you can see that it is now shaded the back, and it's put the little borders along so it's easier to tell how much each amount was. Go ahead and click in cell J9 back up in your chart. J9 over here so that we have deselected the chart. Now the great thing about using a chart is if we had typed in one of our numbers wrong, for example for Pattinsville, maybe we had accidentally typed a 9 in front of that. First of all, we can look at this chart and say, oh, either Pattinsville did really good on their corporate fundraising, or we have probably typed in a number wrong. So we can go back up here and then fix it by removing the 9, and our chart goes back to normal. The great thing about using Excel is when you change the data, it actually redraws your chart for you. You don't have to go out, get a new piece of poster board, and start over. Did you also notice that whenever that number was bigger, down here we get a bunch of number signs? That is because all it's doing is telling us that Excel does not have enough room to display the number. We could resize the column so that it fits, and then we can see the whole number. Be sure whenever you finish an Excel spreadsheet that you do not print it out showing any of the number signs. You actually need to have the data showing. So we'll go ahead and take that 9 out to the way we're supposed to be. And that is it for completing our chart. There are other things you can do to it, such as changing all the colors of the tabs. You can add titles, you can move where your legend goes. There are several things, but this is going to be good enough for what our managers are needing.